Pokémon is almost 30 years old and a lot has changed since its release, as each new generation brings something new to the table, from Dynamax to 3D animations. But there is one generation that Pokémon put more effort in than any other in terms of creativity, and that generation is Gen 7. Yes, you heard that correctly, the infamous Gen 7 that deservedly gets hate for its excessive hand-holding, lack of exploration potential with the absence of a seafloor, lengthy cutscenes, and mediocre post-game experience is also the most creative, and honestly, it isn't even close. Think about it. Which other games offered experiences like Mantine Surf, Ultra Warp Ride, Island Challenges, or the Battle Royal Dome? I can't think of any. Now, I'm fairly certain though that no one asked for these, but hey, you can't argue that these weren't unique. We then of course have Z moves, which were introduced as a main mechanic in the game, and whether you loved them or hated them, it definitely changed the competitive landscape in a major way at the time. Gen 7 also introduced regional variants, which was a creative way to bring old favorites into new games instead of just copy and pasting them like they did for each generation prior, and they've remained in the games ever since, leading to such masterpieces as Pan-Faced Persian and Malignant Tumor Gudra. Gen 7 setting is also the most unique by far, as it shifted away from modern metropolises to being based on Polynesian culture, as illustrated by the region being inspired by Hawaii, as well as names, characters, and even Pokemon designs. And despite me not liking them, I can admit that this shit is creative, although I wish they were a bit less creative at times. But this creativity does not just stop at the designs, no. It also seeped into the stats of the Pokemon themselves, because instead of following the old boring trope of electric types being fast, because who wants that, Pokemon said to hell with it and made Vikavolt slower than 2 larvas. Truly innovative stuff we're talking here. Even the anime was not safe from Pokemon's surge of creative juices when making Gen 7, as they completely changed the animation style of the anime to allow for more dynamic and expressive animations and to appeal to a wider audience. Now, I'm not sure which audiences exactly, but hey, at least they were trying. And last but not least, we of course have the inclusion of Ultra Beasts. Not only was Gen 7's storyline arguably the most interesting of all generations, albeit a bit disjointed, but creatures from another dimension definitely checked the box for creativity, especially with designs like these and voices like this.